Take a look behind the curtain with a real whistleblower and American patriot. Prepare to embrace the uncomfortable truth because this program has no time for comforting lies. Here is civil liberties enthusiast, Second Amendment defender, and recovering FBI agent Kyle Seraphin.
Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the Kyle Seraphin Show. Sorry for a couple seconds late here. We had some last-minute technical snafus. Tried to fix one of our scenes that we were doing, and the camera angle got all crazy, and then tried to stream, and it went to the wrong place. So it's a Friday morning. Happy Friday morning. We're going to be bringing on Real Steve Friend very, very shortly. If you guys want to support the show, the easiest way to do it is to scroll down below and look at our sponsors. All of them are listed today. We're not going to discuss any of them individually. They are all listed there as a group. So please check them out if you guys are so inclined. And then I'm also going to say that if you want to support us, you don't have to do it financially. You can simply just promote us with a like over on Rumble. The same thing over on YouTube. It's rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin, youtube.com/@Kyle Seraphin. Make sure you're subscribed over there. You can go to Locals if you want to join our community. It's kyleseraphin.com. It'll take you to Locals. That is also affiliated with your Rumble login if you have a Rumble account. So it's very easy to do. You could be a free or a paid member. All good there. And lastly, Spotify is the easiest way to check out what we're doing. If you want to share it with a friend, just send them the link, kyleseraphinshow.com. Really appreciate all of you for being along. And we're going to be bringing on my buddy, Steve Friend, because I need someone that is going to rein in my snarkiness this Friday morning.
You're up a creek then, because I live for this day where I get to just endeavor to make you laugh at least one time with how I outsnark you.
It's true. You're as cynical, but in a different way. So I always appreciate that. Let's start with a couple of headlines that we're going to get into today, because despite all my best efforts, it's like, let's just move on with life. Let's consider it on. I was willing to take the Justice Department at their word and just call them a bunch of liars. And then we could just say, you're liars. And if you're smart, you're going to be smart liars who shut your mouth. We are now still talking, like 2 weeks later, about the Epstein thing, not because of anything that right-wing influencers did. Donald Trump came out and readdressed it. So he was like, this wound is not healing fast enough. Let's rip it open again and take a look inside and see what's going on. We're going to talk about grand jury stuff, if that's fair with you. Are you good with that?
I can do that. Yeah. I mean, this is the Streisand effect, right? They could have just said, yes, we're lying liars who lie, but follow the blinking light over there, the laser pointer, like a good cat. You do what the Attorney General did when she was asked. She filibustered long enough to try to give them a nice soundbite. And then she actually told them, hey, when you leave here, we want you to actually look at the pictures on the wall of the victims of fentanyl, which to me was perfect because it was the actual laser pointer.
Yeah, please look at this. Steve, it's been brought to my attention by our chat, who keeps us honest and authorizes the things that need to be done. We haven't given you any walkout music. Before we get our first topic, let's go ahead and do that right now, folks. We're going to get into today's news and then some of the ridiculousness, and then we're going to make fun of people that we don't like. See, how'd you like that? Okay, so here we go. This is my favorite. Whenever we can dunk on legacy media, it makes me happy. I don't know about you, Steve, but there's something very satisfying and sort of pleasing about knowing that the American morning news show, I'm sorry, the Late Show is being covered now by Morning News. So the Late Show is news because it's being canceled, and they're done with it. And they're doing so, they say, for financial reasons. The Late Show is not profitable. In other words, Stephen Colbert's crappy tenure there is coming to an end.
Is the Late Show on CBS?
Yes.
So it's owned by Paramount? Which
yes, it's a
settled with Donald Trump for $16 million because of the 60 Minutes interview that was manipulated, where they tried to make Kamala Harris not look retarded. So they've got some financial reasons there for certainty. I mean, the personnel.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think that probably is not going to cut him nearly deep enough for that amount of money. I think people are just not watching it because there are many other options, and they're not like crappy canned studio laughter comedy. They're trying to do this was introduced in 1993. They created it for Letterman. He's inherited it, and he's going to be the one who sunk it.
Was Stephen Colbert ever funny? I mean, I know his shtick, he was in character. He tried to do the Andy Kaufman thing where he was the Bill O'Reilly knockoff on The Daily
Yeah.
Show. I
That
never
was when
found
he
that
was best.
particularly funny.
Okay. So that highlights something that I think is really funny. Do you remember the show Parks and Rec?
Yes.
Who's the best character in Parks and Rec?
Ron Swanson.
Hands down, right?
Yes.
And Nick Offerman plays Ron Swanson.
Yes.
And Nick Offerman is a flaming lib.
Did an
Nick
excellent
Offerman's-
job. I mean, it's kudos to him as an actor that he was able to do that.
He kills it because everybody loves that character, but they don't love it because they're like making fun of that man. They're like, that man is classic, funny, real America, like a man's man. He's the serious government version of like Tim Allen's Tool Time Tim Taylor. Just someone people would go like, yeah, I would have that guy as a neighbor and he would make me laugh. Like he would also piss me off sometimes because he would tell me that he's not going to obey the restrictions of the HOA. But I also hate HOAs and I do love bacon. And, if I needed someone to tie a fishing fly with me, he'd be my guy. Like Ron Swanson's character was good because of who Ron Swanson represented. And they thought they were making fun of him. Same story with Stephen Colbert. He was best when he was playing an impression of Bill O'Reilly that was actually sort of more likable than Bill O'Reilly.
This kind of reminds me, and we've talked about this before, and now her name escapes me. She was in Juno, and then she says that she's a boy now. But she played in Juno, which was one of the most pro-life movies accidentally that was ever made. I think it bothers these actors when they get typecast and they become legendary in pop culture for playing something that they were trying to dunk on, but they did such a good job of playing the character that they endear themselves to the audience, and the audience actually liked what that character stood for. So now that they kind of overcompensate for that, so in the cases with this Ron Swanson type of character, they lean into being a communist even more. Same thing with Stephen Colbert. He leaned into being a vile, vicious Marxist even more, and then he was also doing the can for the jab. And same thing with Juno, where she was to the point where I'm so aggrieved now that I did this pro-life movie accidentally that I'm going to go all in on the LGBT, and to the point where I'm a T now and I'm a boy.
Yeah, this is Ellen Elliott Page,
Yes.
who cut off her breasts to spite a pro-life movie that she made and made her famous. I've got a clip of of his announcement, which is kind of fun, because listening to the only people who are disappointed are the people that have the sign in the audience saying
The Wranglers.
yeah, whatever's being said to them, it's like cry, sad noises, make sad noises. Here's Stephen Colbert announcing that he's getting canceled, and not that they're going to replace him, but that he is getting canceled. That he canceled it. He killed the show that he's on.
I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May, and yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of The Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away. And I do want to say that the folks at CBS have been great partners. I'm so grateful to the Tiffany.
I'm so grateful that I killed this show that I was on.
Do you remember when James Comey got fired and Colbert went on his show and announced it to the audience, and the audience was cheering, and then he was like, oh, wait, there must be a lot of Trump fans here, because they're so empty. As empty vessels, they just react to whatever he tells them to. So then they immediately pivoted and started to boo. That's the caliber of the audience.
It's people that are literally following the signs. Like we used to see those when we were younger. They would show you, live studio audience, and it would be like applause, 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 cheers, cheers. Now they could do it with LED signs, I'm sure, and it must say things like sad noises.
Have you ever done that?
Disappointment.
Have you ever been in a live audience? I've done it once.
No, tell me about it.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So this was back before we actually had children. Wife surprised me. We went on this trip to New York City. She'd never been. So we did a whole bunch of different stuff in New York City. And it was around the time of my birthday. And I said, look, we're dropping a bunch of money in this trip. Don't get me anything for my birthday. And then she gave me this birthday gift. And I said, you didn't spend anything. She says, don't worry, it was free. And I opened it up, and it was tickets to be in the studio audience for John Stossel's program when he was on Fox News, like the libertarian show. So we showed up, we got to sit in the front row, and it was the night of the DNC when Barack Obama was renominated. And they made us watch the DNC and then react to it as libertarian or leaning people in the John Stossel audience. And I got a chance to meet him. It was neat. They got you like fired up because there was a comedian that came out originally to get people loosened up. It was just an interesting experience. But yeah, it's definitely, it's free. And I think the more people that were there were kind of like more thinking types. A lot of King's College students were there just in their off time to learn from people who they perceive to be subject matter experts.
They didn't realize it was all just performative and made up.
No, that we were just filling time between pocket catheter and reverse mortgage commercials, right?
That's all you're doing.
I did shake John Stossel's hand and I said, hey, you should get Virgil Goode, who's the Constitution Party nominee, on here and ask him questions, because he said, I don't like Gary Johnson. He's a terrible interview. And the next week he got Virgil Goode on. So maybe I had an impact on that.
Maybe so. Gary Johnson was my guy in 2016. I thought he was preferable, but that's mostly because I had a friend whose dad had done developments and was an architect working with him as a construction developer. And he was like, yeah, he's super cool. He like hangs out with my dad. Like they come hang out in our garage and just do dad stuff and smoke weed together. And I went like, well, like I'm not real crazy about that, but like that sounds like a regular dude thing to do if you're worth a couple $100 million and you think that people should be able to do whatever they want. That's pretty libertarian.
You weren't an Evan McMullen deep state installation independent candidate?
No, let's do another one of these. This is a person that is now facing some interesting headwinds, particularly because apparently Donald Trump doesn't realize that he nominated this guy to be the Fed chairman. This is Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell is he's getting a lot of flack for not reducing interest rates, neither here nor there with me. In theory, the Fed's supposed to be sort of like independent, except they're nominated by a president, and then they get leaned on by the president to try to do financial policy. This is really funny because this is Donald Trump versus Donald Trump, and sometimes we have to play these because we have to be real. In addition to, I'm going to share something about the clip we played yesterday about him talking about the Unabomber.
He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him. It is my pleasure and my honor to announce my nomination of Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve.
So
that doesn't go well. I mean, look, they forget that the internet is forever. These clips are out there. They can't do the Joe Biden thing and just pretend like, oh, I said that 40 years ago. Certainly it wasn't recorded. And Jerome Powell, what if he just says, okay, fine, and he makes interest rates 0 and then just lights a match and leaves? Like, mic drop, leaves. And watches it burn down. It's like, this is what you wanted, I'm out.
I don't know what happens. I don't think any of that is good. I don't know. I don't like when Trump is under pressure, and he is under pressure right now, and it does seem like it's coming on the outside. He says some slipping things. And I didn't say flippin', I said slippin'. This is the thing we played yesterday, and then I'm going to tell you why this is really funny. But it is, first of all, it is funny Trump when he riffs, right? Can we agree on that? Like he's like, I'm talking
comedic
about nuclear energy, and now I'm just going to go and do some aside because I just want to just run you down this path. The problem is when that path follows the same thing as like, I can't believe anyone appointed him. That person was me. Similar kind of thing. Here's another kind of like gaff, if you will. That's what they would have called it under Biden, right? A gaff.
Sure. Well, it would have stutter because of his
stutter. Okay, this
stutter.
is the Trump gaff. If it was Biden, it would be a stutter.
Permits, and I have to brag just for a second, because when I first heard about AI, it's not my thing. Although my uncle was at MIT, one of the great professors, 51 years, whatever. He was the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, 3 degrees in nuclear, chemical, and math. That's a smart man. Kaczynski was one of his students. Do you know who Kaczynski was? There's very little difference between a madman and a genius. But Kaczynski, I said, what kind of a student was he, Uncle John, Dr. John Trump? He said, what kind of a student? And he said, seriously good. He said he'd go around correcting everybody, but it didn't work out too well for him. Didn't work out too well, but it's interesting in life. But I will.
Okay, here's the problem. Ted Kaczynski was identified as the Unabomber when he was arrested in 1996. His uncle John died in 1985. Ted Kaczynski never attended any schooling, as far as anybody can tell, at MIT. MIT has said that they had no record of him as a student. They accepted him, but he rejected the offer and decided instead to go to Harvard. And then he also did time at University of Michigan. So that's completely made up. None of that was real. That was a Trump made up story, which is still funny. But it's not true.
Oh, it's like Hillary Clinton saying she was named after Sir Edmund Hillary. Right?
Yeah, same exact thing. If we can make fun of people for saying dumb things, we should be able to make fun of anybody for saying anything dumb. I think
you got to do better on the lies, man. And you just think, all right, I'm going to tell this whopper of a lie right now because we're on the subject of artificial intelligence, which is sort of tech, which probably means smart people. And that makes me talk about
smart people make bombs, and bombs are awesome.
And I got to brag because my family member was really smart. Ergo, I'm in the same genetic pool. So you should infer the same
he also knew
assumption.
another smart guy that mailed bombs to people all over, and it didn't work out very good for him. The line between genius and madman. Now, like, that's true. There is a pretty fine line between genius and madman. I think that's right. But
I'm just grateful that the FBI tracked down the Unabomber. It totally was their investigation. It was not his brother who just turned him over.
It wasn't just like a family member doing what family members might do. Yeah. Also, as our chat is pointing out, because we've got a bunch of sickos in our chat, but my sickos, our appreciative sickos, Uncle Ted's manifesto is prophetic. If you go read it, if I file it underneath the category. My dad, when I was growing up, whenever we did something that was well motivated but poorly executed, right? He would always say, good idea, bad execution. He would say that regularly, which was like, you effed up, but at least your heart was in the right place. I got that a lot when I was a kid. And I sort of understood, like, that was kind of a compliment. That's exactly what I think about Uncle Ted's manifesto. I don't know why I love calling him Uncle Ted, but I really do. The cabin, I want a t-shirt that says Uncle Ted's cabin. I've seen them out there in the world. I would wear it. And I think people wouldn't get it. It's the perfect triangular, whatever ratios, you know what I'm talking about? You've seen this?
Oh yeah, the cabin. I have a similar sort of sentiment with Eric Rudolph. If you ever read or look into the Richard Jewell persecution, where the FBI tried to pin that on him, and they actually go into what Eric Rudolph was doing. Again, like, he was against globalism. He thought the Olympics were a representation of a one world government, and he pushed back, and he tried to attach himself to a pro-life movement because he was a psychopath. But at the same time, I remember like reading some of the things he's saying, and I'm like, is this how radicalization starts? Because I don't hate some of the stuff he's articulating right now.
Yeah, no, that is how you get radicalized. And if you go read the manifesto from the Unabomber, you read it and you're like, this guy, like I said, he's prophetic. He's calling out the man's detachment from other men and being disassociated. He's sitting out there in a cabin in the middle of nowhere writing about this. But apparently he was like a decent human being to the folks that he bought stuff from, that he went to the hardware store, the grocery store. He would come in on his bicycle and do stuff. If you've watched this sort of documentary on, it's like pseudo truth, but you get the idea that he was out there just like doing his thing, and everybody was like, yeah, he's just kind of like a kooky old dude that lives in the woods. We don't care. Like, he's not bothering anybody. He's just slowly tinkering and building.
Of idiocracy, right? Like, if you gave him a little bit of a sense of humor to like keep him grounded and not go completely insane,
then he's Mike Judge.
Could have been a prophet.
Yeah, he's Mike Judge. Yeah, exactly. I wanted a lighthearted thing since we're talking about explosives and things out there. Yesterday, I mentioned that New York is not America. And I did get a little bit of a pushback, and I've noticed that people that are upset with me on social media oftentimes do live not in America. They are either Canadians, which they should just lead with an apology right up front, because they're eventually going to get there, and sometimes they actually do, which is really funny.
Time management.
Yeah, let's just be really efficient. If you're Canadian and you have a problem with me, just tell me you're sorry up front, and then I will forgive you, and then we'll both feel better. That's how it's going to work. If you're in New York or California, you should also apologize, because you live in not America, which means your opinion is slightly less valuable than mine. And the reason I say that is because in America, I am currently considering purchasing this thing that I'm going to show you. This is not an infomercial. I make no money on this whatsoever. I might lose money on this. It's $350 on sale right now, which seems like a stupid bargain. And for a guy that has problems with, like, I don't know, like stray felines that might come into his backyard.
And impulse control.
And impulse control. I have really good impulse control. That's why I had a top secret clearance. But if I didn't have good impulse control and I wanted to do this, if you want to be a true Florida man, I don't think you can live in Florida and not own one of these. This is the Pulse Exothermic Flamethrower. You should really tune in to watch this over on any of the video channels. If you're not watching this, you are missing out.
Testing. It is the Pulsefire Exothermic Flamethrower for the AR-15 or any Picatinny railed weapon. Some of you may be asking, why would you need a flamethrower? Well, fuck you. The better question is, why don't you have one? Because America. This holds about a gallon of gasoline or gas diesel mix. It's electrically initiated and shoots about a 25-foot flame. So let's give it a try. First thing we do is arm the system, open the fuel valve, aim,
Dude, what do you think?
He needs to upgrade the optic system, and where does he put his bayonet? I mean,
Listen.
he's on the road to having a really great weapon system.
Here's the thing that I realized when I was listening to that, because the first time I saw it, all I saw was flamethrower, undermount, enormous little like dongle thing hanging off. He's handling it really well, like it's not an insane thing to have on the end of an AR-15. But here's what's really troubling. He said it holds about a gallon of gasoline, which means it's roughly 10 pounds on the end of your weapon system. That thing is freaking crazy.
It is a heavy weapon system, no question about it.
Dude, I've been watching those forever, and I've always flirted with the idea of having one, but I can't justify spending $650 or $800. I might be able to justify $350. And why I would mount it as a bayonet lug sort of AR-15 tool, I don't know. I think you could freestand that thing too. You could just get, maybe you could get like a one of those demo guns that they have at the stores that'll like, it's just the bottom of the gun and it like holds an optic, but it doesn't have a barrel and has no weight. Maybe I could get one of those. My buddy Joe has a gun store. I want a demo gun to be able to put my flamethrower on.
It reminds me of that USA Today piece about the chainsaw attachment when they try to present that as a legitimate attachment. That they're like, all these gun people, they want to put chainsaws on the end of their AR-15, and they can like
look at our savages that are in the chat that are really excited about this. They're like, add it to your Beowulf, then you got a 50 that you can send downrange with that. You got Owen out there talking about his AR chainsaw thing before you even mentioned it. Yeah, there's a lot of fun things. Listen, I just want to have fun. Since we're talking about liquid, we're talking about explosives, we're talking about weapon systems that can be used to send a flame 25 feet. How about TSA is about to drop the liquid thing that they were doing? Have you heard this? They're going to change the rules.
Oh yeah, this is on the heels of them saying we no longer have to remove our shoes. So all the people that got the TSA pre and they handed over, I don't know, like their DNA material.
Yeah, the joke's on UTSA pre-check. This was CNN yesterday or the day before. The liquid rule could be the next airport security screening to change, the DHS secretary suggests. She just wants more opportunities to be able to carry hair care products for people that are her. I assume she doesn't carry it herself. She just like sends her minions and they have to fly coach.
Kristi Noem is above TSA, so that makes sense. She's probably got a lot of hair product.
She's probably very concerned about this. It just reminds me that the terrorists won for a really long time. Mm-hmm. They made you take off your shoes and they stole your toothpaste for 2 decades.
And on a serious note, we contrived all these security measures, which we know didn't do anything to thwart a terrorist attack, and at the same time created all these choke points where we were additionally vulnerable, and we were really blessed not to have anything bad happen. I'm just thinking of a TSA checkpoint in the Newark airport around Thanksgiving, and how somebody didn't just walk in there with an IED rigged up to their chest and explode it while waiting for security, because you're not screened while you walk in the front door to the airport.
Yeah, what you've done is you've artificially created a line and crowd situation. So now they're not going to be on the plane in the air. They're going to just be on the ground where all the people are too. And yeah, you can catch people, not just one plane load, but all the plane loads. If you go to the Austin airport in the morning, it's insane. There are people that are giving sort of like nebulous directions on where you need to go. There are signs that are government oriented. So there's like an arrow, but it's not really specific where it's pointing for the pre-check and for the regular screening and for all this other nonsense. And you're just walking around going like, I just want some clarity so I can stand in the proper line so I don't blow all my time in the wrong line. And hopefully no one comes in and blows us up, because we're all standing here vulnerable like idiots and none of us are armed because we had to ditch our guns in our car before we stepped into this line.
And I think it was a week or so ago that the FBI was bragging about arresting this guy who went in the exit at the Philadelphia airport. First of all, he tried to drop $50 on the TSA agent who was there manning security.
Yeah, I like that.
But he went down, he bypassed security. He got on a plane because he had a ticket. He was a ticketed passenger. It wasn't like he was a terrorist. And they wound up like leaving the gate. So, oh, well, sorry, the gate's closed, right? So they had to bring the plane back. It wasn't airborne. He winds up getting fined like $60,000 on probation. And can we highlight the fact that the security metric, the individual from TSA just let him bypass on through and then called up and said, hey, I let somebody through the exit. Like, what was your job? You had one freaking job to do. It's like Secret Service allowing a successful assassination attempt on a would-be president by getting a headshot on him. And what was the ramifications there? Did we get 6 days on the break?
There was some suspensions, up to 42 days.
Oh, okay. Garrett's on day, what, 1030?
I think he's coming up, 1025-ish or something. We'll talk about Garrett in just a minute. Yeah. Do you want to tell people the secret about the in, the outdoor for federal agents?
Oh, yes. Well, if you're a credentialed agent, you're not a threat to democracy. You're sufficiently loyal to the United States government, and you get to carry a gun and a badge and credentials. Then you have this secret code, which they have to update every time somebody gets compromised and loses it or something to that effect.
Yeah, every time it's stolen.
So you walk up to the TSA and say, here's my credentials. You sign a book. It's actually a physical book, nothing digital. Give them the code, the secret code, and they let you bypass on through. And depending on their mood, they will actually let you bring in like small children, which was always funny because my wife would be in line and I would just have the kids and all of our luggage, and she'd have to go on through to remove her shoes and make sure that she wasn't a terrorist, and we would just wait for her. And it was actually beneficial too because a couple times we had to, coming back from Hawaii, they took our stroller and like put it on the carousel when we were in Texas, and we still had to go back to Iowa. So I actually had to leave the gate and go back through security, but I said, well, I can just badge my way in. So it wound up working out. But if I hadn't had that, I'd have been still in Texas and my family would have been in Iowa.
My first experience not being a federal agent and flying after I was suspended was going out to, I was going for a job interview. Actually, I was going to go try to get a job with the
going from
OIG
first
of
class
VA.
to coach.
Bro, it is worse than that. It's like going from a private jet to coach. Like the shock was so bad. I stood in usually, so folks, when Steve says we're going in the outdoor, you go to the exit part of security, you show them a badge, you sign your thing, you do the little rigmarole he just said, and then you just walk in. And so I was used to doing that for years, 6 years of that. And then suddenly I've got to go stand in steerage with all these people in Spokane.
You get to board first, even before all the handicapped people.
Yeah, you're the most important boarder because you got to go check in with the pilot and tell them who you are. And they got to know who you are. Anyway, after all that, and then standing in line in Spokane, I was looking at these people and I was like, this is bullshit. And they were like, yeah, man, this airport sucks. And I'm like, no, all airports suck. Everything sucks. This is the worst. I hate that we all have to do this. I'm mad for you. I'm mad for me. I'm mad for America. The terrorists won. So now, luckily, we have this very exciting situation where at least you can carry your toothpaste. And if you want to bring some hair gel with you now, you can do that for a little bit.
Did you quote some Uncle Ted as you were trying to radicalize?
No, but it was in my head. I was fully radicalized standing there. I was like, this is so dumb. How long am I going to stand in this line? And what do we... And I know it's all theater, and so do you, which is why, no one's going to do the same thing again. If somebody was going to sneak in a freaking... Listen, are you telling me that a high explosive 3.2 ounce gel, like, why is that the cutoff? There are calculations being done.
3.1 ounce
Bro,
explosive?
you could still blow the side of the wall out of the plane if you were actually going to mix some sort of like, some liquid explosives. I've seen movies. I know what's going on here. This is crazy. I'm going to also tell you, just while we're talking about stupidity, government stuff, the Senate has now approved the $9 billion foreign aid package. And I love that they put this together. It's foreign aid public broadcast funding. So foreign propaganda. I actually had some guy on X the other day who was really mad that they got rid of public broadcast money. He was like, I was doing a great job, and you can do soft revolutions by projecting American soft power with Voice of America, and defunding it is the worst thing. And I'm like, give me one example of an organic revolution happening because of Voice of America that didn't involve, like, let's say TF Orange or some guys that are working subversively on the ground. You can't, because you don't know who else was there. It was full of spies. We had so many cases on VOA. Like they're all people that speak the native language from the native language, and they all want to go and broadcast stuff in there. And they were all like, it's just
sounds a lot
spies.
like the State Department, right?
Yeah. No, it's exactly like the State Department. And somebody else was saying something. I had somebody say like, oh, if you get rid of these people from the State Department, you've severely compromised the capabilities of the U.S. government. It's like, if you've ever worked with the State Department, it's a mixed bag of highly smart and competent people, and then it's like spies and some retards.
I always love how they say you need to have these things because if we don't have these things, then X will happen, and they'll cite to some sort of catastrophic failure on behalf of that exact same agency. This is quintessential government. Like, we failed. Like, we let the president get shot in the head.
That's why we need to have more funding.
We had one freaking job. So that's why we need more people there to fail.
So that is very similar to what you and I have discussed about what we think is happening with the FBI and why they don't do the things they should be doing, why they haven't released certain things, why they haven't gone and been transparent, and why they haven't done the meaningful change that we were thinking, which is essentially that the argument is always, if you do anything different, you're not pushing the button every 108 minutes, and so the entire island of Lost is going to disappear into a freaking vortex.
We got to do that SWAT hit at 6 o'clock in the morning. Otherwise, we can't get ahead of the line when we go to Cracker Barrel at 6:45.
It's so dumb. Yeah, I don't know. I thought people signed up because they wanted to like have the chase and the bad guy thing. Sitting and waiting and watching somebody to have the payoff be a really safe, strategically well executed search warrant or arrest warrant. It's really satisfying. Like, who cares if it takes a little bit longer? It doesn't matter to me.
You're on the clock no matter what, right?
Yeah, you get paid the same. They can call you back. I guess unless you're on SWAT, they have that. Okay, so this kind of takes me to, let's see, something here. Let's do, the reason why I'm talking about Epstein again, why it is in our thing, is that one of the thirstiest members of Congress, a woman named Anna Paulina Luna, who has a different name as well, that was in a police report in 2014, which is quite interesting.
Sugar?
And we are going to talk about that. One of the, it's not cinnamon. Dude, what's wrong with you? Okay, I found this article, which is quite fun, and it is the 10 thirstiest members of Congress. This was written last year by Politico, and it's pretty good.
They have Fetterman as an image?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you because it's pretty good. They gave different awards with different names. So of these 10 members, they're not just listed like 1 through 10. They actually gave them names, and this was fun for me. Number 1, the I'm Not Like the Other Dems Award. Who does that go to, do you think?
Oh, that's definitely Fetterman.
It's Kristen Sinema. She's not like the others. She waffles back and forth. She has waffling demands.
And
she's
likes
always making
boys
sure
and girls, which is interesting.
She's ensuring that the cameras and reporters are always there when she switches her party affiliation from them to independent and so on and so forth. Okay.
We had a bisexual senator whose last name started with Sin. This is like a really bad movie.
Okay. Number 2 is I just got here and I'm already bored with the House Award, which went to Jared Moskowitz. This is a Democrat from Florida. So they've got 2 Democrats on there. There's it's about half and half. So that's pretty good. His feed regularly has viral video machine clips of him pantsing Republicans from his perch on the Oversight Committee, garnering social media clips from the online left Amen Corner. I didn't know there was an Amen Corner. He wears a Vladimir Putin mask when he walks through the halls of Congress. Okay, then you've got the I've been here over a decade and now I'm bored in the Senate. That's based Mike Lee. They've said mostly his performance as based Mike Lee on X. We'll set aside the fact that a 52-year-old man somehow knows what based is. There's little doubt that this senator, that it's not the senator, and it is his staff that controls this, which is how I got into trouble. I got a phone call from someone saying, you made fun of Senator Mike Lee's intern who runs his based Mike Lee profile on X, and their feelings are hurt, and they'd like you to take it down.
And that got me into trouble by proxy.
That got you. Hold on. Do you want to tell that? You can tell it now.
Sure. Let's go for it.
Do it.
You criticize legitimately statements that were made on X, which is a public platform, but because we're friends, ergo, I'm somehow in control of your ability to speak freely in the alleged land of the free.
Yes.
My former employer, Center for Renewing America, said that although you are important for the movement, you needed to make amends. You needed to actually reach out and apologize and issue a public apology.
Me, I did. You were going to make me do a public apology.
And if not, then I was verboten to appear on the Kyle Seraphin Show for Friendly Friday. That was one of the many times where I pushed back and said, no, I'm not responsible for that feral animal.
Yeah, and you called their bluff, and they didn't get rid of you at that point in time. They did get rid of you for the same reason later, though.
Yeah, Julie Kelly's more important to the movement than Mike Lee.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, another one is the Gone But Not Forgotten Award for George Santos, who's going to be going to prison in T-minus 7 days per his post today, and that's pretty awful. They would have never gone after him if they didn't want that seat, and they would have never attacked him in the same way. Like, Santos has plenty of problems, and he owes me $100, but he owes me $100, folks. If you're just listening and you don't know this, George Santos owes me $100 because he came in and made a bet with me that when they replaced Kevin McCarthy with what's that guy's name?
Smithers, Mike Johnson.
Smithers, Mike Johnson. When that replacement happened, he bet me that they would be doing single item appropriation bills for every individual thing that Congress was going to fund. And I said, I bet you $100 that doesn't happen. And he agreed to it. And then he tried to weasel out of it. And now he owes me $100 and he's going to be in prison. So there's
It's going to be tough for him. He's going to have to punch out a lot of license plates to pay that off.
If you guys are thinking about sending any money to his commissary fund, you can send it to me first. The first $100 should go to Kyle Seraphin. That's what I'm saying. Okay, the Excellence in Trolling Award went to John Fetterman. The Lifetime Achievement Award went to Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, Democrat hell, and she has a career-long record of always hogging the aisle at the State of the Union to shake the hands of the president. A refreshingly old-school way of getting media coverage, including. Oh, she doesn't do a lot of social media antics. She just mispronounces people's names because she's borderline retarded, or she used to be. Now she's on fire.
She was on fire a little bit for being very critical of her aides. Remember her cursing that guy out on the phone?
Yeah, she didn't care whether it was boo-boo or fuckface. Told the guy to do something. It's one of my favorite lines from any member of Congress. I don't care if it's boo-boo or fuckface. It tells you. Like, what a dress down from a 70-something-year-old lady with whatever that Corona haircut she had was.
She had no fear of any sort of physical ramifications.
Holy moly. Yeah, that was so crazy. Yeah, none at all. Okay, the Distract Anything from My Own Scandal Award went to Matt Gaetz. They drew him like Max Headroom, which is pretty funny. He's actually on that thing there. We like Matt Gaetz, but that's fair. Let's see. Insatiable Memer Award goes to Mike Collins. He does try really, really, really hard, so that's good. Garcia, most likely to trumpet his own Thirsty Award. He'll get the award and then he'll cheer himself on. That's a guy, Robert Garcia in California. And then I was like, dude, there's got to be. They didn't put AOC on there, which is how I know this list is garbage. But they did at least get the People's Choice Award, which goes to Nancy Mace.
A woman who that's Madam Vice President next go around for you. Just so you know.
Dear. She bafflingly donned a scarlet A over her white shirt the day that she voted to oust Speaker Mike Johnson.
Was it a wet T-shirt when she did
Yeah,
it?
of course. Yeah. No, she always wants to put that up front. Sorry, it was when she voted to oust Kevin McCarthy. She wore a scarlet A. I didn't even know that.
How about how she continues to trot out the fact that she's the first female to graduate from the Citadel when that is just factually inaccurate? Every single time she gets fact checked on it, apparently a woman graduated like in the 70s from the Citadel.
Yeah, it's not a good look. She also was like, listen, people, I'm a victim of sexual assault. And so therefore, what I'm going to do is show my boobs to people on the House floor. This is video footage of a silhouette that some guy took of my boobs. It's thirsty. It's deeply thirsty. And I put a couple other people in there. AOC does it badly.
AOC is, I mean, she's put on that mom weight. I don't know. She could be on the downhill.
I applaud mom weight
if it's that.
Listen, I applaud mom weight if it's for mom reasons.
She doesn't have
a kid coming. No. So that's not good. But if it was mom weight for mom reasons, actually there was a big controversy. Do you see this about Jennifer Love Hewitt the other day?
No. Send it.
So Jennifer Love Hewitt is a couple years older than me. She was like my teenage it girl crush. She was in all the movies. It's a little before your time, probably.
No, she was in I Know What You Did Last Summer, right?
I know, but she's got 8 years or 10 years on you. So she's a grown up by that time. She was like a teenager when I was a teenager. Anyway, she was the it girl. She was super slim. She was real pretty. She always seemed like real nice, whatever. Now she's a mom. She's got 3 kids. She looks like a mom. She's got hips. She looks very vivacious. And people were like, oh my God, like she aged horribly. Like, look, it's like she's a freaking grown up. She's 46, 47 years old with kids. Like that's what a mom with kids looks like. Still legit. But anyway, got roasted on the only thing I didn't like is I saw the video of her standing on the red carpet where they took the picture and they made fun of her. She doesn't have plastic surgery. She obviously is not on like Ozempic or any of this stuff. She looks like what women are, which does go to show you we have these stupid, we played a clip the other day talking about the unrealistic beauty standards. But the real problem is the unrealistic personality standards.
like you expect your elected personnel to not have been strippers at one point in their career.
I do expect that. And I've realized that it is an unrealistic expectation to think that maybe people who go out there and talk about virtue would have been virtuous at some point in time in their life. Or they would have like had some kind of conversion moment. You kind of have to have a conversion moment. You can't keep being a thirsty hoe and claim that you're not if there's actual evidence of you today being the same person that you were a long time ago.
I think if they'd known now what they were doing then, do you think the founding fathers would have been like, I think I'll just pay the tax on the tea?
Not only that, I think that when people started suggesting the 19th Amendment, they would have been out. they would have had another revolution. But that's just me. What do I know? Okay, so here's what this is all about. The thumbnail today shows Anna Paulina Luna saying top few dumbest things of the week. And here's what they are. Thank you to Pam Bondi. By the way, this all stems from Donald Trump saying that he is now your losers and sucker. What does he call us? Hold on. I got the
Suckers and losers was what the World War I people were, right? That was that fake story?
Dude, it's the same story. Here it is. Okay. The radical left Democrats hit pay dirt again. With the fully fake and discredited Steele dossier, the 51 spies, the laptop from hell, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes on and says, I've had more success in 6 months than any president in history. Fact check, maybe, not true. All these people want to talk about it. Strong prodding by the fake news, success-starved Democrats. Now we're going to talk about the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the work of Democrats. Don't even think of talking about our incredible and unprecedented success. The only success I see is that flamethrower. If I get that, that will be unprecedented. He says, I don't want their support anymore. And then he immediately pivoted as of yesterday to, I'm taking too much heat on this issue, so we're going to do some really weird things. Let me read the Donald Trump piece here. I might even just throw it on the screen, actually. Let's just do that. Let's put it on the screen because it's worth seeing. Here's, oh, that's not how I put it on the screen. I put it on the screen like this, Steve. Here we go. Boom. Okay. So let's just blow this thing up in real time. This is what Donald Trump said, and then we'll read what Anna Paulina Luna said. He said, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam perpetrated by the Democrats should end right now. So nothing like telling people that you're going to give them what they want. Listen, this is the reason why populist movements and demands actually do matter. Yeah. There is a pressure campaign, and it works. I don't know what we're going to get, though. What do you think?
The technique here is so bad because people have their concerns. And whether or not you think that they are devoting too much energy and focus to something, it's a mountain to them. And all you've told them now in the last 12 days is, that's not a mountain, it's a molehill, just move on. And as a result of that, it makes it easy for me to then respond back to you when you say, I've had the greatest 6 months in the history of this country. And since Charlemagne roamed the earth, this is the greatest thing ever. I can say, yeah, well, you didn't do anything with Epstein, though. So I can turn your mountains into molehills because you failed as a populist to read the room and actually take this up, because the issue is not, and unfortunately is not just the abuse of children, because people should care about that, but they really kind of don't. The question is, do we have a two-tiered system of justice? We want that adjudicated. We want the DOJ to answer that question for us. And by closing this down, they voted present. They didn't give us a yes. They didn't give us a no, which really means they gave us a yes. And we do have a two-tiered system of justice with a populist in charge.
And then I guess the worst thing is that it's possible that you just had an attorney general go out and lie and like oversell what they had, which is totally fine. If that's what happened, just go out and own it. You got to own it. It's the KFC thing that we talked about on the program the other day. You've got to go out and put the message, I blew it. It's real simple. There was an apology that was issued by this dirtbag who supposedly was found cheating on his wife out in public and went to a Coldplay concert. Yeah, I do, because I think people suck. And he put out a statement about it.
Streisand effect, man. All they had to do was just be like cool. Coldplay. Nobody would have said a word.
Steve, he put out a statement and he blamed Coldplay for being caught at a Coldplay concert with his not wife, a married man next to a married woman who was not married to each other, surrounded by employees that worked with them who knew what was going on, and they're like cuddling up at a Coldplay concert. By the way, is there anything more beta than getting caught cheating on your wife at a Coldplay concert in 2025? Is that like that's so low level stuff? What an
maybe
embarrassment.
Taylor Swift, but yeah, it's pretty close. And then he also quoted a Coldplay lyric.
He quoted Coldplay in his non-apology that was really embarrassing. Like all of that stuff was.
They intruded on my privacy by putting me on the Jumbotron. I had no expectation that would ever happen when I attended a concert where they have a Jumbotron and they constantly put images of the fans up.
Dude, all of this is so dumb, though, too, because this expectation that you're going to have privacy in public is beyond stupid. But anyway, let me read this Anna Paulina Luna thing because I think it's funny. She said, while other people were busy stabbing President Trump in the back, more on that in 1 second, because the stab in the back thing is actually pretty rich. She said, we were working overtime behind the scenes in the Oval Office. This photo was taken earlier today. And it's not a coincidence. It's 4D chess, says the former cocktail waitress and/or stripper dancer. She said, welcome to the big leagues. Enjoy phase 3. I guess we skipped phase 2. Phase 2 was denial of anything being there.
No,
she said Pam Bondi's
phase 1 was handing out the binders, right?
Right. What was phase 2? closing the case?
Yes, yeah, issuing it over a holiday weekend during deadly flash floods was phase 2.
So phase 2 was cover up, and then phase 3 is 4D chess.
And
got it. And she said, we're going to
4 is
unseal some
blaming
grand
Kyle
jury
Seraphin.
information. Do you want to understand, explain the process? By the way, she says the same thing in a second post that she did. She said, while others were busy trying to knife the president in the back. This is the part that I think is really rich. She says, now the real questions. Will any reporters finally cover the FBI destruction of Epstein evidence under former deputy director of the FBI during the Biden administration? Enjoy phase 3. It's going to be a coup d'etat. I don't think she knows what that means either. But the biggest piece is, do we want to talk about why she knows about that destruction of evidence under the former FBI deputy director, or what that might be? You want to do that?
Yeah, we can get into that. That's fine.
Let's do it.
Well, destruction of evidence, I mean, that could have been something to the effect of when there was an election and then Donald Trump won that election, and then there was a transition period, and then we know for a fact that they didn't have control yet of the government, and trucks were showing up to shred documents at the time, and there was no sort of accountability for that. That could be an issue to me. I mean, what was that ever answered? That should have been more of a primary concern, right?
And so Garrett goes on. Benny Johnson talks about it. He has a conversation with Anna Paulina Luna specifically about this, which is how we know she knows about it. I'm not like giving away any details. She knows she talked to him, and he went out and spoke about it. Said he talked to members of Congress and tried to let them go. Did they ever do anything about it?
I mean, maybe if we wait 6 to 8 months, we'll get an answer to that. But we're also waiting for the Dobbs leak, which isn't illegal, and the White House cocaine incident, which never really mattered to us at all, and the Butler assassination plot, which Donald Trump got briefed on, but apparently the rest of us can't get briefed on that. Where am I missing? What else are we outside of Epstein? Oh yeah, the January 6th pipe bomb, the only weapon of mass destruction, the only actual terrorist activity that you could allege happened that day. Nothing.
I'm putting this image up behind you because I think it's really funny. What you're seeing on the screen is the Red Rose Gentlemen's Club, which is the place of employment that Anna Paulina Luna worked at for some period of time. Unclear how long, in the year of 2014 at least. And then this is a current picture from their Google review, which is a toothless Florida man and a lady. I don't know why I think it's so funny, but it is really funny to have that. This is the interior.
Nice.
So that's good. And then I added
an entertainment room.
It's just an entertainment room with a stripper pole.
College.
It's just an entertainment room with a stripper pole. It's not that big of a deal. And
I need to tell you about my entertainment room experience on a search warrant.
I'm going to add the 4D chess to it. So there's the 4D chess. And just to substantiate this, because people don't want to show up without any receipts, if you guys have never seen the police report, it looks something like this. This is a police report from that location. And, what are you going to do? It's there in black and white. Cops don't get everything right. Would you agree with that? When cops interview people, they don't get everything right.
Sure. And a lot of that time is because the people are telling them things that are false, and all they're doing is reporting what the people tell them. They're a transcriber.
And when things are wild and things are going on scene and it's in the middle of the night and you're tired and you're doing the night shift and you're used to create chaos and crazy, like things could happen. Let me read this little sort of piece, supplemental narrative. On 1/26/2014 at approximately 1600 hours, Devery Marcius came to the Salomar Sheriff's Office Annex to speak with the officer about an injunction violation, made contact with Marcius and her mother. She stated that she and 2 other girls were at the Red Rose last night, paid the entrance fee, sat at a table. Once they were inside, she recognized petitioner, which is Ann Meyerhoff, a.k.a. Anna Paulina Luna, and she was working there as a dancer. Marcius stated that she and her friends got refunds, left the club. Marcius did not know the petitioner and stated that she thought she was in the Air Force.
All right. NFI. But what we do verify is that, I mean, this was 11 years ago. She's at a different place in life right now. But
that's why she sits on thrones showing off cleavage. That's why she poses in, that's why she's posing in MAGA swimsuits. I don't know. I just really wish that people that went out there and like presented themselves as one thing could just be that thing.
Yeah, I think
like George Santos didn't present himself to be anything he wasn't.
Authenticity is attractive to people, regardless of what it is. And I've talked about this before. Like Donald Trump craps on golden toilets and he just puffs up everything like it's the greatest and the biggest and I have all these great things. But it's authentic. He's never pretended to be the John Kasich, my father was a mailman, and I'm just one of the folks out there. He's just like owns what he is, which is why there are millions and millions of people who are at a point right now of idolatry for that man. And a large part of that is because he comes off as genuinely authentic.
He doesn't pretend to be something he's not, because who's going to deny that? Like, there's video evidence forever. It's just there. He doesn't have to be thirsty. He's just Donald Trump. He's always gone after media attention. Like, that's his brand.
Yeah, and I mean, him by his own telling, I mean, it's kind of like this psychological test that you see where he talks about the first time he saw his name in a newspaper. And basically for the last, 60 years, he's been chasing that dragon. Like that's a pure addiction that has driven him to places like to the utmost heights of business and politics and everything in pop culture.
And he doesn't deny it. He wants that. And you even hear like side conversations, him talking to Megyn Kelly, and he says, it's not a good thing if they're not talking about us, kind of deal. Like, he wants that. Meanwhile, if you or me saw our names in a newspaper, our first moment is probably panic initially. It's really not a good feeling. Like,
is there an address attached to this? Do they have pictures? Yeah.
Yeah, like, why am I part? Like, I don't want to be part of this story. Anyway, there's a thirsty situation. Okay, speaking of thirsty, speaking of, like, I'm more and more grossed out, and I think that's more than anything else. Like, this Epstein bit has exposed people for who they are in many ways. It has revealed a lot about folks who are disingenuous and not honest and do things that are kind of scandalous. Here's Anna Paulina Luna starting back in like just a couple days ago. These are literally things that she posted. Now she's doing 4D chess. But she also said that the American people deserve to know the truth regarding Epstein, regardless of who it impacts. There's plenty of evidence not pertaining to CSAM and victims that DOJ leadership can authorize. And she's asking Patel and Bongino to release it. The American people should be free to come to their own conclusions. The truth will otherwise come out one way or another. That was 10 days ago. She also said that if justice is truly blind, where are the charges for the conspirators related to? She says reference, but she means like, I don't know what she means. Jeffrey Epstein, referring to Jeffrey Epstein. It's weird. Anyway, should this not be a top priority? I find it alarming that Congress has gotten almost no communication from DOJ. So there she is, calling out the same problem that she's now saying is 4D chess. I don't believe her. I don't think that's 4D chess.
No, it's just something that's percolating on social media, and this is an opportunity to get attention. And you kind of fire that arrow and then drew the target around it because I was on the pulse the entire time. Well, no, you just licked your finger, put it in the air, saw the way that the winds were going, and then just joined in on that to your own advantage. I don't think that Anna Paulina Luna has particular concern about the children that were involved with that, or even analyzing a two-tiered system of justice, because she's a member of the elite now.
Yeah, well, this is funny because when she was running her race, she was interviewed in 2021. She had an interview talking about that exact police report. I actually wanted to see if there was any, like I said, people can make mistakes. I want to know what it was. And then I'm going to have you cover grand jury stuff and why this is kind of silly in the first place, because I don't think either of us expect it. This guy coming from Florida Politics, this is the Florida Politics interviewer. He says, court documents from early 2014 show you briefly worked as a cocktail waitress at a gentleman's club while living in Fort Walton Beach. The court filing, you wrote that you picked up the cocktail waitressing job to bring in money, needed to travel to visit your husband at Walter Reed Medical Center, where he was recovering from being shot in Afghanistan. Given where it was, some people say this job should raise concerns about you and your character. What's the real story? And so her story is, quote, in January 2014, my husband Andy was shot in Afghanistan by al-Qaeda fighters. I was out of the Air Force and in college at the time, and we were struggling to make things work on a military salary. When I received word that Andy had been shot, I immediately scrambled to come up with money to see him. And like all women, her first thought was I should work at a gentleman's club. I know a lot of people that needed money. This wasn't the only option. The military doesn't always pay for family members to see their recovering service member, and they wouldn't pay for mine. We were always struggling to make ends meet on military wages as it was, and I was in college on top of that. I never experienced so-called family money. Poor me. So we never had that. I called a friend who bartended at a local club to see if I could get a waitressing job there to make some quick cash to see Andy. She got me the job. I worked a few shifts to earn the money I needed, and I quit and went to see him.
Seems like it was a very well-contrived narrative for her to be in there. You'd have to look at the employee records, but I doubt that gentleman's club keeps copious notes of the people as they're coming and going as employees of the place.
Again, yeah. It's like, why can people not just be honest? And again, the cover-up is always stupider because this is always going to look stupid to her on her.
Sling boxes at Amazon, right? I mean,
look. She called it a club, right? But a club that's called the Red Rose it's not a local bar. That's not a local bar or club. That's the Red Rose Gentleman Club. Like I said, I looked it up because I wanted to just see that it was there. I just thought that was kind of funny and sad. A lot of these people are out there acting like there's something they're not, pretending that they are, think that they can just tell you something and they will demand that you believe it and that no one's going to question it. And honestly, a lot of people will. A lot of people will just believe what they're told because I like this person. This is my person. They're our person now. How dare you, MAGA. But the left has that problem. If the right wants to be able to avoid it, they should.
I think both sides have that problem. And I've noticed it.
It's a human problem. Let's be real. It's a human problem.
Yeah, and it's becoming more and more elevated, particularly around this Epstein thing, now that the president has weighed in on it. Now that he has asserted where he stands on the issue, then the people who have fired the arrows are now drawing the targets around them, and they're going and being more vitriolic in their opposition to anybody who would dare to step out of lockstep with what the president wants. But we're also seeing the president saying that he's going to allow the grand jury stuff come in, which, spoiler, it's not going to be what you think it is.
Tell people what grand jury looks like, how it works, how many you've been in, how many times you've testified, whether you've done state, federal, or both. Knock it out.
I've been to more federal grand juries than I have state, only a couple of state, but federal experience. The grand jury is convened. It is not like you see on Law and Order and TV shows. It is a secret proceeding. So it's not like there's cameras in there. It's not like there's media in there. It is you sitting in front of essentially a classroom of about 30 people. They have to have a quorum to be there, and they're permanently convened there for about a year, or it could be a year and a half, depending on the district. It's just the prosecutor. There's no defendant. There's no defense attorney. It's in there, and you basically just give the facts of the case to the grand jury, which is not determining guilt or innocence. It's determining whether or not probable cause exists that an individual committed a crime, and then they issue a true bill, if there is in fact, and then there's an indictment and then an arrest warrant for that individual.
And the grand jury can ask you questions if they want clarifications, but generally it's just led by a prosecutor just pinging it, hey, as you understand it, what is this?
And they can be very selective in what they do. They don't have to present any contrary information. That's why it's so easy to get a true bill through a grand jury. They don't give them the full mosaic of everything. There's no information provided unless they want to. And that's why you see sometimes, well, we're going to go to the grand jury on these cops for this murder of a subject. And it was like, okay. And they go in there and explain how the guy drew a knife on them. And then the grand jury was like, okay, no true bill.
Right. Because they'll explain them. They usually tell them what the elements of the crime are and why they have to be able to vote on probable cause to believe. Again, they do this in state. They do it in local. I've been on a small number of it. Generally speaking, if you do want an indictment that you don't want to go, like if you want to actually prosecute the case, you don't want to present a weak case. You don't have to give them everything, but you still don't want to bring weak stuff there because you're going to end up being embarrassed in court when they have the exculpatory available.
They have that exculpatory evidence. They have the transcript of what you said in the grand jury. And if you say anything that's weak, then it could be immediately pulled up on you. So they want to keep it tight just to the facts of the case that is the strongest evidence. That's all they need to meet that threshold of probable cause, which is not beyond a reasonable doubt.
And then the other thing is that these are all under seal, and it's called what? It's Rule 6E. Does that sound right?
5E.
5E. 5E is an exception that'll show up on your FBI file. So if you are not part of the team, if you're not part of the investigation and something is going in, there's going to be like an entire sub-file of grand jury secrecy. These are the things that are sealed, can't be released. They're restricted even within the FBI. If you're just another agent, you won't be able to go and review that stuff per se.
You have to have explicit permission for that particular case to access it. You have to be integrally involved in the case. You have to be an attorney who's prosecuting the case. You have to be an agent who's investigating the case. You can't just be an outside entity and be like, oh, I'm just going to read through this. It's not publicly available.
And that's what they're going to unseal, supposedly.
And they're going to do it with the court's permission, which would violate the rules. So that's a problem. And
do you think the court will even grant it?
If they do, they will essentially black out all the names.
Got it. So it'll be another redacted file.
Yes. I mean, I had, and it wasn't the grand jury's fault. It wasn't that jurors, he just didn't know. But he was interested because I was working on Indian reservations, and he thought that was really cool. And his question was like personal to me, like, hey, how do you like this? And they immediately cut off, like, you do not give any personal information. Do not give any personal information. We're protecting your identity. We don't want to give anything where somebody could associate that with you. And I was the case agent, so not a secret who I was.
Right. Your name was going to be on the arrest warrant when you went out there, or your name was going to be on the search warrant return, and your name was going to be the affiant for these things if it went forward, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And they still protect it very, very vigorously.
Unclassified.
Yeah.
And the other thing to remember about the Epstein case is that they have a non-prosecution agreement from 2007. So are you going to reveal that and individuals that might have been brought up in that, or is that agreement still in effect? And as part of that agreement, are we going to withhold the identities of these people? So I think there's a lot of show about being transparent. Back to what I said, like transparency just means things we like. We're not going to be truly transparent with you, but we're going to be able to claim that we're transparent in the greatest as we're making it rain with the cash in the first 6 months of this administration.
Yeah, that was a really bad look yesterday. If you guys didn't see that, the White House put out a meme, a video with a rap thing saying we're making it rain and a bunch of eagles flying and dropping dollars. So for some of you that are very successful in the last 6 months, some guy told me he's up like 400+% in his net worth from crypto. Congratulations to you that are making tons of profit. There's a lot of people that have said otherwise, that they are still either experiencing the same level of expenses in their life, and money is not still flowing like wine. They're struggling. And so anyway, I felt like that was pretty tone deaf, but that's what happens when you put children in charge of social media, whether you're base Mike Lee or the White House. It's always kind of a dumb look. I did think that the grifter sort of expose that's been going on, people on the political right that are kind of showing who they shill for and how fast they're willing to like turn on a dime, and how much their audience doesn't appreciate that because they thought they were good guys. So you've seen a lot of people do reversals, like Charlie Kirk has done it. You've seen people come out and say things they can't substantiate. I wanted to hone in on this thing. You're familiar with the claim that Epstein obviously worked for an intelligence agency, and there's plenty of questions around it. But one of the most often cited things is that the prosecutor, is his name Alex Acosta? Is that right?
Acosta, yes.
Acosta apparently said that he belonged to Intel. And you're like, well, that just is taken as fact. And I hadn't looked into it all that deeply, but I had someone call out to me and say, he was a former federal prosecutor. He's like, dude, you got to look into where that came from. That came from an unattributed statement by a Trump White House official that allegedly was involved in the vetting process for Acosta for a cabinet level position. And he attributes a statement that Acosta made to this guy who is an unnamed anonymous Trump official. That's like triple hearsay. It's not some documented thing that he said on the record. It's that something that people have reported, that another guy reported that he said without naming the source. That's how far away that is. Now, his unexplained sources of wealth, the fact that Les Wexner gave him a bunch of money and a townhouse and a bunch of other things, and how he jumped up from being a private school, high school teacher to being a guy that, ran his own wealth management system for some billionaires. All of those things are very sketchy and weird, and like there's no question about it. But that's not going to be released. Would you agree that like there's bank secrecy rules that are not going to let people's private finances be dumped into the public? We're not going to see any of that.
No. I mean, not unless we're just going to completely turn the system on its head. And you're right about like the reporting as it comes in. I mean, it's no different than James Comey is going to go and brief the president on the Russia PP tape, right? And then because he does that, then he has a hook to go to the media, and then the media report then gets reported back to the FBI, and then the FBI can use that to bolster their FISA search warrant. I mean, it's a complete system that is circular on itself in order to get to the outcome that they want.
We're going to do a long palate cleanse, because it's been a weird and stupid week. And actually, it's really, really funny. It's something I'm just going to rip directly from the Babylon Bee. So credit to them. If they want to hit us with copyright, we'll trim it out of the YouTube side of it, and it'll be available over on Rumble. It'll be available to you over on Spotify as well. So no big deal. That's kind of what I wanted to lead with, is that all these people are hypocrites. Most people who end up being hypocritical have a hard time seeing it, but this Babylon Bee sort of thing kind of pushes it right in your face, that you have to own your own hypocrisy. And if you're not going to do it, then you're going to end up time traveling to go back and kill Adolf Hitler and realizing that you agree with most of Adolf Hitler's things, which apparently has been a thing that's been going on the right now. Oh, I got one more silly video. This is how stupid the news cycle has gotten about this. MSNBC has actually cited Nick Fuentes, and they're reading Nick Fuentes' tweet. Like, this is the ultimate troll timeline, like, right? So Nick Fuentes,
he's a reliable source now.
He's a reliable source now because he says things that we like. So now Nick Fuentes is part of democracy because he's saying MAGA's dead. Right? This is MSN. Like, seriously, the own here is ridiculous.
Right-wing influencer Nick Fuentes went so far as to say MAGA is dead in response to President Trump's posts, blaming Democrats for fabricating the Epstein files. Fuentes wrote on social media, quote, "So now Trump is claiming the Epstein files are a Democrat hoax? LOL."
This is a very serious news station. So he's a right-wing influencer, which I don't think is accurate. I think he's Nick Fuentes.
It's always bothered me, and all news does it, and even print news does it. They go to this silly website that you and me and the other suspendables have had to use to be the squeaky wheels that we are. it's not real, and they report it as if it's real because somebody at some point said something about some topic. So we're gonna talk to you about that as we read it off the teleprompter. And this is the news as I heard it today.
It's nonsense. But they
Fake.
present it in a way that's like really strong. You want to talk about what you guys are doing on AMRAT, and then we're going to have a long play out here of the, we're going to play us out. What does that mean? What does it mean, Steve, to play us out?
It means
We're gonna-
bio con Dios.
Means we're going to do
Appreciate
it live. All right, tell people about the AMRAD podcast coming up, and then we'll do a long palate cleanse.
All right, so the American Radicals podcast, join us tomorrow on rumble.com/amradpod, 10:30 Eastern time. As always, we're doing our Saturday grab bag. We're just going to be doing a smorgasbord of different topics. It's going to be about McDonald's getting hacked, their HR, very much like the FBI did. The OPM was hacked. DOJ is firing some people, but nothing's really going to happen. And Coca-Cola is going to be pure with cane sugar again. So all that, a whole bunch more. Hope you all join us there. Rumble.com/amradpod, or you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and iHeart.
Yeah, I very much don't think you can distract people with real sugar and Coke. You can already buy those. They call them Mexican Cokes down at the Costco's here. You can go get.
Donald Trump likes Diet Coke, so I don't get it.
He doesn't even like sugar in the first place. What the hell is he talking about? All right, Steve, thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to put this thing on. If you haven't seen the whole thing, you guys actually, you should definitely stick around and see this because it is quite worth it. Here is the Babylon Bee's brilliant take on time travelers killing Hitler. And it actually has a lot to do with Nick Fuentes, too. Here you go.
Sehr gut. Sehr gut.
I'm a time traveler from the year 2025, and I've come here to kill you, Hitler.
Oh, not again. I'm never gonna have enough time to finish these paintings with all of these time travelers trying to kill me.
Well, I'm going to succeed.
Before you pull the trigger, can I just ask why? Why do all of you people want to kill me?
Isn't it obvious? I'm a progressive, a liberal, a fighter for social justice. And you are a fascist who implemented a reign of terror. And while the effects of your policies devastated the world for decades, soon we will be able to take back the White House, and we will be able to use the government to force people to follow our great ideas.
You want to use government power to force your ideas on the populace. Me too! That's fantastic!
What? No. Ugh. You and I have nothing in common. What I'm saying is there are people in our time with dangerous ideas, and we need to silence them.
Silencing those who disagree with you. I do that too! Oh, wunderbar! Oh, the Nazi movement will not die with me.
Don't give me that! I'm enlightened, and you're as bad as, well, as Hitler. Listen, what I'm trying to say is we are very close to implementing a utopia, as long as we can get rid of some certain undesirable people groups.
Yes, like the Jews.
Yes, like the Jews. Oh.
So, in the future, you also do not like the Jews?
Well, no. But we don't believe in segregating all the races like you do. I mean, except for like graduation ceremonies. And dorms. And hiring practices. Oh, and admissions policies. That sort of thing.
I too am a fan of the segregation. I'm sorry, I have to ask, is this a real firearm or is this some kind of toy for kinder?
It's a flare gun. I'm trying not to support America's toxic gun culture. I'm a firm believer in gun control.
Gun control! This was one of my ideas too. Ban them from the undesirables. Yes, look here. Oh, and your shirt. This is an organization founded by Margaret Sanger. Yes?
Wait, you know about Margaret Sanger?
Jawohl, of course. Oh, she's such a lovely person.
No. She's a fighter for reproductive rights, for women's empowerment,
and the eradication of undesirable populations by means of eugenics. Brilliant lady, very inspiring. I must use some of her ideas in our socialized healthcare system.
Socialized healthcare? That's not your thing. That's our thing.
No, it's very much my thing. Did you know that Nazi means National Socialist German Workers' Party. Nazi is just more catchy. Nazi, 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 Nazi. Just rolls off the tongue.
No. This can't be true. This has to be some sort of mistake. We are nothing alike. You're Adolf Hitler, evil right-wing fascist dictator, and I'm a feminist restorative justice advocate. And a vegetarian.
You're a vegetarian? Me too!
Okay, I am so confused right now. I came here with a clear goal in mind to kill the most evil man who I've ever lived. Besides Ronald Reagan. But now that I'm meeting you in person, you're not at all what I thought you were. And your painting is actually really good. What do you call it?
I call it Ein Reich ohne Juden.
Wow. I don't know what that means, but it sounds beautiful.
It does, doesn't it?
Like, what does he say? The empire without the Jews. If you're just listening, you didn't see the subtitle. She thinks it sounds beautiful. Yeah, who are the real Nazis? I'm just saying. Question all these people. Question everybody. Question their motivations. Don't take anything on faith unless there's things you're supposed to. You guys know better. All right, have a great weekend. We have Enrique Tarrio for the Sunday Sit Down. It's a really good one. I'll put some trailers out. And if you're a subscriber over on Locals, you'll get to see it one day early. It'll be live tomorrow at 8 a.m. my time, and it'll go live on Sunday with a live premiere at 1 p.m. for the live chat of Enrique Tarrio, convicted seditionist, pardoned by Trump, Proud Boy. Really, really fun combo. You guys will like it. Have a great rest of your Friday. God bless you.
Thanks for listening to The Kyle Seraphin Show, streamed live weekdays on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. Follow Kyle on Twitter, Truth Social, and Instagram at Kyle Seraphin.